I'm Doc Rivers, and I'm proud to present a new podcast documentary series called It Was Said Sports, where I guide you through 6 of the most impactful and timeless speeches in sports history. Listen and follow It Was Said Sports, a documentary podcast presentation of Shining City Audio, a C13 Originals, and John Meacham Studio. Available now on Odyssey and wherever you listen to your podcasts.
How is your mental health? Billie Eilish, Kevin Love of the Cleveland Cavaliers, Imagine Dragons, Lil Nas X, and so many more feel the same pressures we do. They're joining our host, Carson Daly, for I'm Listening, September 23rd, starting at 6 p.m. right here. Carson and a cast of mental health experts, athletes, musicians, other notables, and you will share stories, insights, and help us all remember that we are not alone. Please join us, because talking about our mental health has the power to save lives. For more, visit imlistening.org.
6:21, time for the morning take here on News Talk 830 WCCO. Blois Olson is here. Does the song September by Earth, Wind & Fire crack your top 10 of all time?
I don't know if it's a top 10, but it's definitely...
It's up there, though.
It's very much up there.
Okay.
I'm worried that if I let it crack my top 10, my reputation as being boring and suburban might be jeopardized.
Come on,
and so
open up. Open up that top 10, Blois. Let it in. Telling you. It'll set you free.
I almost started dancing when you were playing it earlier. That's a pretty good sign. It's 6:05 in the morning.
That's exactly what I'm saying. By the way, there is a video of the newsroom dancing to that song that we might get retweeted at some point. It happened about 3 or 4 years ago, but it seems like every year on this day, that thing resurfaces. So I'm just saying, keep your eyes on it.
I like it. You guys have
by the way, it's already
on.
Hang on, it's already on. Jimmy just told me it's already there. So he tweeted it this morning. So there you are. We embarrass ourselves again. So this new poll, we've been talking about this yesterday. We talked about it. Some of the findings of this KARE 11 Star Tribune Frontline NPR poll. They did some stuff on the COVID restrictions, and it shows that 43% say the restrictions have been about right in this state. 26% say they haven't gone far enough. Only 30% say they've gone too far. What do you make of this? Is this surprising to you?
It's not surprising. This has kind of been the tone and the mood of Minnesota for the last 18 months, 19 months, as we've navigated the pandemic. There's been people who have wanted more restrictions. There have obviously been people who've wanted no restrictions. And as we kind of were in the heart of the pandemic, I kept saying there's a third of the people who aren't going to come out of their houses until the government tells them it's safe. There's a third of the people who are going to go out and do no matter what. And there's some third in the middle. And this kind of starts to show that that's where you're at. There's probably a larger group in the middle that's vaccinated and operating life. I've been thinking about this a lot, between the state fair, a couple concerts, mostly everything outside. But I have been living a pretty damn good life for a few months now, fully vaccinated, and not overly worried about a breakthrough case. And when you look at the odds, it's more dangerous to drive to the grocery store some days than it is to go out in public, with the vaccine, and get a breakthrough case. So, I think this is where people are at. But as you look ahead, Steve, this is one of those places where, the politics of it play to each side. And it's going to be an issue through next November. So for our listeners who don't really want to talk about next election year yet, I'm sorry. And if you really don't want to talk about COVID politics, I'm sorry. But I think these are going to be some of the issues going into next year.
But if you look at these numbers, assuming they're correct, if you got 43% saying they're about right and 26%, that is 69% of the population. So there's only 30% that say they've gone too far, and isn't that pretty much what the Republicans who have announced that they're running are running on? I mean, this is one of their this is their mantra, is that the government and freedom and so on and so forth.
Yes, and as of right now, that would be a losing message to the general electorate, especially a year plus away. And if you dig deeper, they're the ones really firing up their base about vaccine mandates. You have them proposing legislation about vaccine issues. They're going to kind of keep beating that drum. It fires up their base. It gets people excited. It gets them to donate money, click on videos, etc. And I'm not even talking about misinformation. I'm just talking about the pure politics of it. And so when you have that as one of your mantras or one of your key messages, and that's not where the public is, you run the risk of kind of alienating the electorate in a year when Republicans should be doing well. The president's not particularly popular. Public safety seems to be something that majority of Minnesotans are concerned about. So wait and see how long they kind of carry on this COVID political message, because it's not a long-term winning message for Republicans in statewide races.
Blois Olson is with us with the Morning Take. The Purple Caucus, that topic has come up. Explain what's going on there at the state capitol.
Well, Jeremy Miller, the new Senate Majority Leader, was one of the founders of the Purple Caucus a few years ago. And now Melissa Lopez-Franzen, who's a Democrat from Edina, has said that she, wants to work across the aisle, and the idea that they could have some, working relationship. They're not off to a great start, because we're already in this kind of stalemate over a special session and commissioners and vaccines, and the COVID $250 million for frontline workers. So I think, though, that the premise is they want to have a civil relationship. They want to move forward. They want to find some things they can work together on. Now, they don't have a budget they have to do, and they do everybody probably wants a bonding bill. So there's some opportunity there. But again, I think public safety issues, law enforcement issues, and COVID politics will continue to kind of complicate the negotiations for the next year.
Speaker Hortman told us last week that the special session probably won't come till sometime in early October, so all eyes there. So they got a little bit of time to work this stuff out, but they've been trying to work on it for the last couple of months as it relates to that money trying to be divvied up among essential workers. So,
right, and both Lopez-Franzen and Jeremy Miller have the challenge that they have. Lopez-Franzen and her caucus on the left, they have some more, very progressive members, and Miller's got some very conservative members, and that's the challenge of holding the caucus together. You can't just count 51 votes amongst both parties, because if you're not with your caucus, then you run into other political problems.
Blois, how do we get the newsletter, The Take?
You just go to fluence-newsletters.com or search it on Twitter or Facebook, and you can find it there, The Morning Take.
Thank you, Blois.
Keep dancing, Steve.
Dancing to this. Thank you, sir.
The world moves pretty fast. 1 minute you're standing, the next you're dragging. How can you keep up? I'll tell you. I'm Ira Madison III, host of Keep It. Each week, Louis Vertel, Aida Osman, and I do the hard work of exploring the intersection between entertainment, culture, and politics, with guests like Billy Porter, Catherine O'Hara, Ronan Farrow, Francesca Ramsey, and more. New episodes of Keep It drop every Wednesday. Listen on Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Doc Rivers, and I'm proud to present a new podcast documentary series called It Was Said Sports, where I guide you through 6 of the most impactful and timeless speeches in sports history. Listen and follow It Was Said Sports, a documentary podcast presentation of Shining City Audio, a C13 Originals, and John Meacham Studio. Available now on Odyssey and wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Odyssey's going back to school, and we've got all the supplies you need, like A+ exclusive music stations and podcasts to help you or your student excel. Wake up and get the school day started with Acoustic Sunrise, the best mix of acoustic pop. Hit the books with Classical Odyssey, passionate classical music to help you focus while you study. Listen to essential school podcasts like Grammar Girl's Quick and Dirty Tips for Better Writing, and be inspired with TED Talks Daily. Get back to school with new exclusive stations, plus all your favorite local radio stations and podcasts on Odyssey.